to today's topic. Today's topic is mostly about careers in psychology and mental health services. And today I will be talking to you all about the field of psychology and what are the subfields in the field of psychology. And if you are someone who's interested to pursue the field of psychology, what do you have to do and what are some of the career opportunities that's there? And in India, which are some of the top institutes or top universities offering the course in psychology? And also, if you're willing to work in the field of psychology, which are the sectors that's recruiting for psychologists or different psychologists, and where are the job opportunities available? So today's webinar will mostly cover all of these topics, and I will take about 15 minutes to finish this, and the last 10 minutes I will leave it to all of you at if in case at any point in time you have any questions, any queries related to the field of psychology and mental health, you can write it in the chat box and post it to me, and the last 10 to 15 minutes is just to answer your queries. Yeah, so let us just begin. When I say the word psychology, most of the people think that psychologists usually read minds, or you think about why do people do the things that they do, or why are they behaving like the way they do. All of these questions comes to your mind when you hear the word psychology. But have you also thought that if you have siblings or if you have cousins and all, have you also thought that you and your siblings are completely different, even though if you're born in the same family and even though if you've grown up in the same environment, your personality is completely different? So have you ever given a thought about how is it that we both have been raised in the same house, same environment, but how are we so different? So this is where psychology plays a role, and we all are unique as individuals and our personality traits are completely different. So before I get into the depth of what psychology is and some of the other areas of psychology, I have one more interesting poll question for all of you. So please look at your screens and answer the poll question. Okay. So the poll question is here. Do you all think that the field of psychology is exciting and interesting? Just giving you all a few seconds to respond to the question. Okay, so we have our responses. Most of you, that's all of you, have said yes, which means most of you think that the field of psychology is exciting and interesting. Yes, the field of psychology is quite interesting, but let us know about what else can you do in the field of psychology. Psychology is a vast field, broad field. There are plenty of opportunities, but today let us understand about what are some of the areas in psychology that you could look at. So mostly today's webinar will focus on the Indian context as to what is famous in India and what are some of the sectors that you could get into, because as students you will mostly be concerned about the colleges and opportunities that's available in India. So to start with, just a brief definition for all of you. Psychology as a profession is about the study of human mind and how it influences a person's behavior. So usually psychologists study human behavior or studies human mind. They try to understand why people think the way they do or why are they behaving the way they do. So they try to understand much more about human behavior, human emotions and feelings. So we all have different personalities and different traits. So mostly psychologists try to understand why is somebody getting angry, why is somebody getting irritated, or why is somebody too quiet, and several aspects regarding personality. And like I said, the field of psychology is very vast, and once you finish your education and become a psychologist, you have plenty of options depending on the subjects. In psychology, again, you have different subjects which I will be discussing further on in my slides. So depending on the subjects that you have chosen, you will have plenty of work opportunities and you get to work with different populations. You can even work with children, you can even work with adults, you can work with old age people, you can work just with couples, or you can work just with children, special children. So there are different populations that you could work with. And as a psychologist, you could work with different businesses or different organizations and help them. You could work with helping people in improving their lives. You could work with social work organizations or not for profit organizations, and you can also work in the health sector. So there are plenty of opportunities. Let us discuss all of these one by one. So moving on, just to give you all a brief about the career path, I will be talking about how or what are some of the steps to become a psychologist in India. So what happens today is, according to the Indian curriculum, right now in the 11th and 12th grade or your PU level, most of the colleges do not have psychology as an option, but some of the colleges give psychology as an option. In the arts or humanities stream, there is one of the subject as psychology, where you have the option to study psychology. And in some of the ICSE schools and the IGCSE schools, again, students have the opportunity to study psychology as one of the subject. But if you are in the CBSE board, until 10th, you are not introduced to this subject and you do not know much about this subject. So at least until 12th, there is no scope to study or to learn more about the field of psychology. So the field of psychology comes into the picture only during graduation. So only during your graduation, you have courses like BA or BSc in psychology, which is either a 3-year course or a 4-year course, depending on colleges to colleges. So either it is a psychology honors degree, which has complete focus only on psychology, or it is combined with different subjects, like either it is psychology, English, sociology, or it is psychology, English, political science. Either it is combined with any other 2 subjects. So in order to get into the field of psychology, you need to start with basics. That's your graduation. So you need to either be a BA or BSc. You have to complete either your BA or BSc in psychology, and then moving on for your masters, you have to choose either MA or MSc in psychology. And further moving on, there are MPhil and PhD courses that depends on the specialization that you're choosing. When I mean specialization, when I'm discussing each of the subfields, you'll understand which of the subfields require specializations and which do not require specializations. So I will cover about specializations later on. So to be a psychologist, you can opt for any stream in 11th and 12th. Even if you're from the science stream, arts stream, humanities stream, you can still apply for psychology in your graduation level. And these days, majority of the schools and colleges have started including psychology in the curriculum, but there are not many options that's available. And you have to obtain a bachelor's degree in psychology. Only then you can move on to masters. And some of the subjects that you will be learning in your bachelor's degree are your clinical psychology, there's general psychology that you will be studying, there's child psychology that you will be studying, and there's developmental psychology, organizational psychology, or organizational behavior. These are some of the subjects you'll be studying in your graduation level. So that is about psychology in general, and also how to pursue psychology in India. What is the minimum eligibility criteria and which are some of the courses? Moving on, let us look at each of these specializations and what do I mean when I say clinical psychology, or what do I mean when I say organizational psychology? What is the work that they really do? So I'm getting some questions. If you have questions, you can start posting it, and at the end of the webinar, I will answer these questions. Okay, so moving on, I will be discussing each of these subfields in depth. So beginning with counseling psychology. So counseling psychology, now I'm talking about subfields in psychology. There are plenty of subfields, but I'm limiting it to the Indian context and Indian scenario, keeping in mind the subfields that's quite famous in India. Okay, the first subfield is counseling psychology. So counseling psychologists are individuals who help people in recognizing their strengths and resources. So people approach to them with different problems and different issues. So counseling psychologists are the people who really help them in understanding how to get out of these problems or how to cope with these daily problems that they face. It could be simple problems like anger management. It could be problems like anxiety. It could be problems like depression, different psychological problems and different issues that they face in a day-to-day life. So in counseling psychology, Again, there are different types of counselors. So one of the counselor is addiction counselor. So mostly what addiction counselors do is they are specialized mental health counselors who treat patients who are addicted to different drugs. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, or it could be people who are addicted to phones, social media, any sort of addiction for that matter. So these are the people who help different individuals or different people with addiction. So they help them on how to cope up with this addiction or how to come out of this addiction and what is some of the treatment plans. So they mostly deal with individuals who are addicted to any sort of substances, drugs, alcohol. It could be any sort of junk. If they're addicted to TV, mobile phones, if they're addicted to watching any shows, anything of that sort. So these are mostly counselors who deal with addictions. Then there are mental health counselors. What mental health counselors do on a day-to-day basis is they usually help people to deal with mental health problems like grief, anxiety, depression, anger management, or if they are unable to cope up with their studies, and if they are unable to cope up with their job, their career, different mental health problems, or if they are facing any problems with their family members, any problems with their in their relationship with any of their friends, any other relationships of that sort. These are the people who help individuals who have different issues or different mental health issues, and they will be treating people, individuals, they'll be working with families, or they will be even working with groups. Then we have career counselors. Career counselors are counselors who usually work with school and college students. So they mostly help students in analyzing their personality, in analyzing their interests, in analyzing their subject performance, in analyzing the students' aptitudes, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what is their natural ability, and they help these students in finding suitable jobs or finding suitable career options or career paths. And some of the career counselors even help with job interviews, even help with resume writing, and they also help with college placements and job placements, some of the career counselors. So mostly in counseling psychology, there are again different types of counselors. Some of them are addiction counselors, some of them are mental health counselors, some of them are career counselors. So these are some of the different types of counselors. So now let us look at how do you become a counseling psychologist, or what is it that you really have to study in order to become a counseling psychologist. So again, for counseling psychology, you have to complete your BA or BSc in psychology, which is a 3-year course and sometimes a 4-year course if you're choosing an honors degree, and it depends on the college that you're applying for. And after that, in your master's level, there are different colleges offering different subjects in psychology. So you have to make sure that you are choosing a master's in the field of counseling psychology. Either it has to be a MA in counseling psychology, or it has to be a MSc in counseling psychology. And these courses will be for a period of 2 years. When it comes to counseling psychology, MPhil or PhD is optional. Only if you're willing to study further, you could take up MPhil or PhD. But what happens in counseling psychology is they look for experience. So as soon as you begin your master's degree, or once you start your master's, internships are very important. If you're clear that you want to get into the counseling, that you want to get into a counseling setup, please make sure that you intern under any practicing counseling psychologist. It will boost your resume, and it will also help you in getting better job opportunities, because in counseling, they mostly ask for practical experience and how much you have practiced as a counselor. What is it that you have learned? So internships play a very important role in the field of psychology and in the field of counseling psychology also. So make sure that you have at least 2 or 3 internships or 2 or 3 internship certificates before you apply for any job as a counselor or a counseling psychologist. So I hope that's clear about counseling psychology. And the next subfield that I will be talking about today is clinical psychology. So clinical psychologists, these psychologists usually work in the healthcare sector. They usually work in clinics, they usually work in hospitals. So these are the people who actually deal with people who have different psychological disorder or different mental health disorders. You all must have heard of mental health disorders like depression. You must have heard of disorders like ADHD, attention deficit disorder. Then you must have heard of disorders like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. These are the people who really help people who are suffering from different mental health disorders. So they talk to them individually, and they develop a treatment plan, and they help them in coming out of this and they help them in coming out of this phase. So these are the people who provide a lot of support to people who are suffering from different mental health disorders. So if you become a clinical psychologist, you can either start your own practice and work independently, or you can join a healthcare center or hospital and work at a hospital setting. So you have both the options, and it is the same with counseling psychology also. But to start your own practice or own private practice, you need to have some amount of experience. So at least working under someone for 5 to 6 years will be a good option before starting off on your own. And in India, the criteria to become a clinical psychologist is, again, in your BA or BSc, you will be choosing psychology. And for your master's, you have to choose clinical psychology. It will either be a MA in clinical psychology or MSc in clinical psychology. And to become a clinical psychologist in India, it is compulsory to finish your MPhil in clinical psychology. So after your master's, you have to again do a 2-year MPhil in clinical psychology. So there are some of the institutions like NIMHANS, Manipal University, then there's NIMH, then there is an institute, government-run institute in Jharkhand, Ranchi. These are some of the institutes that offers MPhil in clinical psychology. It is a 2-year course, and it is important to finish this 2-year course MPhil, and only then you can work as a clinical psychologist in India. Once you finish MPhil in clinical psychology, you get a license from RCI, that is Registered Council of Rehabilitation Council of India. This is the council for psychologists in India. So once you get a RCI license, you can start practicing as a clinical psychologist. So you can expect to work in most of the well-known hospitals. You can work in government hospitals. You can also work with military hospitals, or you can also have your own private setup or a private clinic. So some of the well-known hospitals like Fortis, Manipal, Apollo, all of these hospitals hire for clinical psychologists, and the minimum requirement that they look for is a MPhil in clinical psychology, which is a 2-year course. So it is very important to finish your MPhil in order to get into the field of clinical psychology. And clinical psychologists usually use different treatment approaches when they are working with clients. They mostly practice therapy. They do not give any medicines or any medications. They mostly treat people only through therapy. So that is the role of clinical psychologists. Then I will be talking to you all about the next subfield, that is educational psychologist or educational psychology. Educational psychologists are those people or those psychologists who usually conduct research on how do students learn, or how do people learn well in different settings. It can be in school, colleges, online mode, any different setting. How do people really learn? And they do a lot of research on learning methodologies, learning techniques, in order to help students, or in order to help people who are struggling with their learning and who are struggling with their education. So they use their training in psychology and their knowledge in child development to assess difficulties that children are mostly facing when it comes to learning. Okay, and these educational psychologists are the people who carry out different observations on children's, on learners, and on different people. They also develop questionnaires, they interview students, they interview people on their learning, and they also have different assessments to identify the needs of the students. And they will also offer a range of appropriate interventions or appropriate treatment plans that can be done in order to improve learning in children and learning in people. And this includes so mostly educational psychologists work with students, parents, and teachers collaboratively. They work with all of them. And to practice as an educational psychologist in India, again, the basic minimum is BA or BSc in psychology. That's mandatory for any of the psychologists. But in master's degree, what you can do is whenever you're applying for a, so there is general psychology. Some colleges offer general psychology. It is called as MA or MSc in psychology. So if you're someone who's willing to work in the field of educational psychology, before applying for MA or MSc in psychology, please look at the syllabus of the college that you're applying for and make sure that the syllabus has at least one subject as educational psychology. Only then you could become an educational psychologist. So different colleges offer different subjects. Some of the subjects will be child psychology, some of the subjects will be educational psychology, it'll be clinical, it'll be counseling psychology. So in your general psychology syllabus, just make sure that one of your subject is educational psychology. Only after looking at the syllabus, apply for colleges. Then educational psychologists mostly work with research, so they also go ahead and do their PhD is mostly for 3 or 4 years. In whichever topic that they are interested in, they go ahead and do their further research. So this is a gist about educational psychology. And after educational psychology, one more different subfield that I'm going to be talking about is forensic psychologists. So before I even talk about forensic psychologists, I have a poll question for all of you, and I would request you all to look at your screen and reply for the poll question. So have you heard of the term forensic psychology before, or have you heard of forensic psychologists? Yes, no? Okay. So most of you have said yes. So all of you have mentioned that you have heard of the term forensic psychology before. Okay. So now that you know or you have heard of the term forensic psychologists are psychologists who use their knowledge of psychology and their expertise in the field of psychology to assist legal system, to assist courts, to assist police officers. They are mostly, as with other psychology jobs, even forensic psychology also requires to have a degree in the specified field, that is forensic psychology. And to work as a forensic psychologist, you again need license based on the country that you're willing to practice. But in India, as of now, there is no license, but you need to have at least a master's degree in forensic psychology. And forensic psychology, they usually practice psychology within the criminal justice system and also in civil courts. They are mostly interested in understanding why certain behaviors occur, or why do criminals behave in a certain way, and they also help in minimizing such behaviors, or they sometimes even work in correctional institutes like different prisons and jails to help minimize these behaviors among the criminals or convicts. And they also may study criminals at some time, so they interview criminals or they work with them on a daily basis to understand what made them do certain things. And they also try to figure out what personality traits do these criminals have. And they also interview these people, interview their loved ones or interview their family members sometimes to understand about a particular criminal. So they mostly work with courts and they mostly work with police systems and other legal systems. So in India, for a forensic psychology, what you have to do is, rather than just choosing BA or BSc in just general psychology, some of the colleges offer BSc in forensic psychology, or they offer BSc in forensic science or criminology. It is important to take up this if you're interested in forensic psychology, because it builds a base to go ahead and practice as a forensic psychologist, because this is again a very specialized field and they require and they look at a lot of educational requirements when you're looking for a job in the field of forensic psychology. So finishing a BSc in forensic psychology or forensic science and criminology is important. It is again a 3 years course, and then you can go ahead and choose MA or MSc in forensic psychology or criminology. This is a 2-year course. and then you can apply for different jobs. So mostly investigation departments and most of the other jobs that's available is mostly with the government sector. So you could do a lot of research about jobs available in this department, and you can apply for jobs in the forensic department as well. So that's about forensic psychology. The next subfield that I'm talking about is industrial or organizational psychology. So, industrial or organizational psychology, like we all know, industry or organization is different companies, different MNCs, or different industries. So, in all of these companies, there are plenty of people who work day in and day out. They have at least like 500,000, and some companies have lots and lots of employees. So, on a day to day basis, they deal with different people, and they work with different teams and different people. So to make sure that the organization is functioning well and the industry is functioning well and employees are happy, industrial psychologists work there to address problems that's happening at work, to understand the employees in a better way, and to improve performance among the employees. So mostly industrial psychologists, they either they look at the policies, that's their employee policies, to they work on improving these employee policies so that employees are much happier at work and they perform well. And sometimes they also screen job candidates, meaning there are different people who apply for work and who want to join different organizations. So when somebody applies for jobs, organizational psychologists or industrial psychologists look at their resumes, they screen them, they take their tests, and they interview them to understand if a particular candidate fits our organization well, and how is his or her behavior or personality. So mostly they use a lot of assessments, interview techniques, and sometimes they also work as trainers, corporate trainers. They work in different departments. They either work in the HR department, where they are mostly recruiting people or hiring people. They also work in learning and development, L&D departments, where they are training different people and updating employees on different training programs and improving their learning skills. So industrial and organizational psychology is a very famous and a very good field. If you are aspiring to get into this field, then you can really try for it, because there are plenty of options right now. If you look at the psychology field in India, there are plenty of options for students who have done industrial or organizational psychologist, and we have number of organizations and MNCs that's available. Most of them look for industrial and organizational psychologists, and this is also one of the subfields which pays really well in India. So if you're someone who's looking at a good pay package, and if you're someone who's interested in working in the corporate sector, then you can look for opportunities in the field of industrial and organizational psychology. So to complete industrial and organizational psychology, a basic minimum master's degree in either HRDM is your human resource development management. That's one of the course that you can do, specialize in psychology in that, or you can also do MA or MSc in business psychology, or you can also do a MA in industrial psychology or a MA in organizational psychology. Most of these terms, business psychology, industrial psychology, organizational psychology, all of these terms are different, but the subject and the syllabus structure for all of these courses are more or less similar, and it will help you in working in the corporate sector and working with different organizations. This is again a 2 years course. So if you're someone who's looking at getting into the corporate field, then make sure that you choose any of these courses. So that's about industrial and organizational psychologists. So they mostly work, even if some of the employees are unhappy or if they have any problems at workplace, they also try to counsel them and resolve these matters. And they are mostly the people who improve the quality of the workplace and who are mostly involved in enhancing the performance of employees. So this is about industrial psychology. Then the next subfield that we have is school psychology. So school psychology, as you can understand from the term, it's quite common. School psychologists are psychologists who work at schools. different schools for that matter, they work mostly only with students. So there will be students who have different difficulties. It could be learning difficulties, or it could be any difficulty related to concentration, attention, or they have any problem, somebody is bullying them at school, or they have any problems with their friends, family members, anything of that sort. Or if they have any problem with their teachers and they are unable to share, or if a teacher has any problem with student and they cannot really guide the student, they put them through school psychologists. So these are the people who help students to have a safe environment at school, and who usually help students, parents, and teachers. So you might ask me, what is the major difference between educational psychologists and school psychologists? Because both of them deal with students. Educational psychologists also deal with students, but what happens is the population that they are working with. School psychologists only work with students of school, and they only work in the school settings. But educational psychologists work at different settings. They are mostly focused on enhancing learning methodologies and the research on learning methodologies. They can work with any population. It is not just limited to students, or it is not just limited to schools. That is the major difference between educational psychology and school psychology. And what happens in school psychology is also, when you are again choosing your general psychology, that's your master's in psychology, please make sure that you have school psychology as one of the subject in the syllabus. Only then you will be exposed to the school psychology curriculum, and you will get to know more about school psychology. Some of the colleges, even if they do not have school psychology in their subject, they offer certification courses as an elective subject. So it is better to check with the colleges on over call, or meet the admission counselor at the college and try to understand more about the course. So it is important to study school psychology as one of the subjects before getting into the field of school psychology. So that's about school psychologists. The next and interesting subfield again that I will be talking about is sports psychology. So in India, as you all know, India is a country that loves their sports. There is cricket, there's football, hockey, and there are plenty of fans. There are plenty of sports fans, correct? So sports psychology in India is a growing field, but there is a lot of popularity and lot of demand for sports psychologists in India. So sports psychologists usually work with athletes and sports persons. They usually look at improving their sports performance. They usually motivate these sportsmen and athletes to win different tournaments and to win different matches. They are concerned about their emotions. How is a sports person or an athlete before a match, after a match, how is their emotional state, and what really motivates them. They are mostly working with athletes and sports people on a day-to-day basis. They mostly motivate these people to win games, and they are always with sports people or athletes, and they're mostly concerned about the mental well-being of sports people or athletes. So they make sure that their mental health is good, and they are the people who motivate them on a day-to-day basis. So sports psychology is still a growing field in India. There is only one or two colleges that offers MA or MSc in sports psychology. One of the colleges is known as Guru Nanak Dev University. You can learn more about that university. You can research about the course. And in India, to become a sports psychologist, you can become a member of Association for Applied Sports Psychology, that is AASP. So AASP is again one of the association that usually gives certifications for sports psychologists. So you can learn more, you can get to know more about this association by researching more about them. And as this field is growing, there might be courses coming up in the near future, but as of now, the course is not quite popular in India. But this is a very rewarding, well-paying, and again demanding subfield in the field of psychology. So although it's relatively new, it will grow immensely. So you can think about having a career in the field of sports psychology as well. So one another subfield that I'm talking about is teaching. So even in the field of psychology, there is teaching. There are psychology assistant professors and professors. So if you are someone who wants to get into the field of teaching, or if you want to be an assistant professor or professor in psychology, then it is important that you finish your masters, and after masters it is important that you even finish your PhD for teaching. If you do not want to do your PhD, one more way to get into teaching. Teaching is through NET exam. NET exam is National Educational Test. It is conducted twice every year, and if you are looking to make a career in the field of teaching after your masters, it is compulsory to clear this NET exam. Only if you clear this NET exam with the cutoff marks, only then you can work as an assistant professor in colleges and universities. And if in case you do not write NET exam and if you still want to teach, then the other method to get into teaching is to finish your PhD. Once you finish your PhD, there are plenty of opportunities for teaching as well. So either there are two ways: either you have to clear NET exam or you have to finish your PhD to get into the field of teaching in psychology. Again, you can choose your subject based on the subject you have specialized in. You can choose to teach that particular subject. It can be anything from clinical psychology to counseling to educational to child psychology to school psychology, any of the specializations that you're willing to teach. So that's about teaching. Teachers, apart from just teaching students, they also involve themselves in different research projects and research activities. So on a regular basis, they publish research papers, and they are constantly updated with journals, and they publish their new research work. So if you're interested in teaching and research, then you could think of clearing your NET exam or getting into PhD. So apart from teaching, one more area where psychologists usually work in India is research. There is plenty of scope in India for research. And these are the psychologists who conduct different studies and who research on different psychological topics. So their major duties are conducting interviews, creating questionnaires, and presenting papers. Once they conduct these interviews and create questionnaires, they analyze it. They put in all the details and analysis of the research, and they present their papers at different professional conferences, or they also publish their papers in journals. So famous government bodies like NIMHANS and DRDO, on a regular basis, they hire for research assistants and research psychologists, and there is a really good growth opportunity even in the field of research. So there are plenty of government bodies in India who hire for students who have finished their MSc in psychology and who are willing to work as research assistants, or even for people who have finished their PhD and who want to work in the field of research also have scope. So what happens is, even for the field of research, you have to complete your masters. After masters, if you're someone who's willing to work in the field of research, then you could look for roles like research assistant or research associates. NIMHANS usually recruits research assistants. After that, they want a minimum a MSc or MA in psychology, and they hire for research assistants. So you can work under those research projects and see if it interests you. You can work for 1 or 2 years, and if it interests you and if that is the field that you want to really work in, then you could go ahead and do PhD in your specified topic. PhD will take you about a minimum of 3 to 4 years. And also for admission into PhD, there is an exam that for any of the PhD that you're applying for, to get admission into PhD, there are exams that you have to write. JRF is again one of the popular exams that you have to write, and RAT, that's Research Aptitude Test, is one more. So JRF is also UGC NET exam is for both teaching as well as JRF. So there are two different combinations. So you can either prepare, if you're preparing for teaching, then you can write the NET exam. If you're preparing for research, then you can write the JRF exam. This is also conducted twice every year. And if you want to get a seat in PhD, or if you want to study PhD, you have to clear JRF, and only then you can get into PhD by a government body. So this is mostly for government colleges, but if you want to do PhD in regular or private colleges, then the GRF criteria is not quite required. They have their own entrance exams, and you have to clear their entrance exams. So mostly for research, for research psychologists, it takes a longer period of time to get into job, because after their masters, again they have to do an advanced degree or a PhD. Only then they usually start working. But there is, once they do PhD, they have plenty of job opportunities in either government bodies or in private industries and private institutes. And different colleges and universities also have different research projects where psychologists and research assistants work. So that's about research. So these are some of the major subfields that's famous in India in the field of psychology. With this, I come to the end of subfields in psychology. Apart from this, I will be giving you all information about some of the top universities and top institutes to study psychology in India. This is not ranked in any order. This is in random order, but these are some of the famous institutes offering the course, so you could look at them. And there are plenty more colleges that I might have missed out. I can't give you the list of all top 50 or top 100. So these are just few of them, top 10. So there are plenty of colleges, but while registering for any of the colleges, just make sure to check the syllabus and the teachers who are there and the qualification of the teachers. That really helps in getting into any top institutes and top universities. So one of them is Christ University, Bangalore. Then there is IIPR in Bangalore, Indian Institute of Psychology and Research. Then there is Amity University of Behavioral Health and Allied Sciences, Noida. There's Ashoka University in Sonapet, Haryana. Then there is TISS, that's Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, which is again quite famous for psychology. Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi, and Manipal University in Manipal. Delhi University in New Delhi. Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Then there is Center for Health Psychology in Andhra Pradesh. These are few of the top institutes and top universities offering psychology courses from your graduation and post-graduation. They have most of the different combinations and different subfields. So you could look at their college websites if you're interested in pursuing psychology in any of these colleges. So these are some of the top institutions that I have listed out. It's not in any particular order. Apart from this, now you might have a question that, so these are some of the subfields and this is the colleges, but where will I really work? Which are some of the sectors that I can be employed in, or where are the work opportunities? So the next topic that I'm talking about is the employment sectors or industries where you can work. So once you finish studying psychology and you have the necessary skills, you can work as a freelancer. Like I mentioned, you can have your private practice, but having good amount of experience or internships is important to have private practice. And you could also work in universities, colleges, government agencies, and other sectors. Now let us look at it one by one. So if you're willing to work as a counselor, there are different NGOs, old age homes, counseling setups, rehabilitation centers, de-addiction centers. Then there is schools and colleges also hiring for counselors. Then sometimes even organizational setups hire for counseling psychologists to counsel their employees and to improve the quality of workplace. So these are some of the areas that counseling psychologists can work. And in the education sector, you can work as school counselor, you can work as a trainer, you can work as career counselor, and sometimes even as special education counselors. If in case you are aware of all of the physical disabilities and all of that, sometimes psychologists even get work opportunities in special education centers also. And to work as organizational psychologists, you can work with MNCs or any big firms or any organizations. So they will have work opportunities in HR, they'll have work opportunities in their L&D, and OD department is organizational development department. So when I talk about organizational psychologists, usually the job roles are called as corporate psychologists, or it will be called as industrial or organizational psychologists. Some of them will be working with psychometric teams. So it will either be psychometric analyst or psychometrician. These are some of the job roles, and some of them will be working as internal communication in internal communication teams to do surveys and questionnaires. So these are some of the job roles in organization setup. And apart from that, you can also work with universities and government agencies. If you're looking to work in the field of research, then colleges, universities, and government agencies are a good place to work if you're willing to do research work. And if you are willing to take up social work, and you can also tie up with not-for-profit organizations or NGOs. And several NGOs provide counseling, and they are into mental health awareness. So you can also tie up with these different NGOs and work with them. And apart from internship, if you want to volunteer, all of these NGOs give opportunity to volunteer. That's again a very good way to gain practical experience in the field of counseling and in the field of mental health. So make sure that you do a lot of volunteering and interning if you want to get a job in the field of psychology. So apart from the employment sectors and industries, let us just talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of the field of psychology in India. And this will give you better understanding of the course and what are some of the advantages if you do this course and what are some of the disadvantages. So the first advantage is there are plenty of career opportunities in different sectors, variety of sectors, and variety of different populations. You can work with different populations, from students to adults to special children to corporate employees. You can work with different people. And one of the top reasons to, or one of the advantage of working in the field of psychology is at the end of the day, you'll feel better and you'll feel happy that you are helping other people improve their lives, or you are helping them make a change, or you're improving their living. And one more advantage of practicing psychology is you can work for yourself. If in case you have a private setup or private practice, you do not have to report to anybody, and you can just work for yourself. Once you get a little experience, like about say 5 to 6 years of experience in any particular area that you are willing to work, like in the field of counseling psychology, in the field of clinical psychology, or in the field of training, any of these areas, or mental health awareness, any of these areas, if you have gained some experience, then you can have your private practice. That's again one good option or one advantage of a career in psychology. And like you all know, psychology is a broad field, so there are plenty of opportunities in India for research. So even if you don't get opportunities in other fields of work, there are always opportunities in research for work. And then there is also plenty of job opportunities in organizational and industrial field. So that's again a good thing if you're looking for work-life balance, and if you're looking for good salary packages and good employee policies and other benefits. You could also work with organizations or different MNCs. So these are some of the advantages, and some of the disadvantages are about this field are it's still growing. So most psychologists usually spend a lot of time training and a lot of time in education. So your graduation is for 3 years, then you end up doing masters for 2 years, 5 years. And then if you want to do PhD, it's 4 more years. So there's 9 years gone. If you want to do MPhil, 2 more years, so 7 years. So extensive amount of training and extensive amount of education is required to succeed in the field of psychology. And once you have a lot of advanced degrees like MPhil and PhD, the growth opportunities are also really good, but it requires a lot of time and again a lot of money also. If in case you do not get a MPhil in clinical psychology in any of the government bodies, if you want to do MPhil in clinical psychology or any other field in a private institution, it will take lakhs of rupees as fees. So you should be prepared with financial aid also. And in India, like we know, the field of psychology and counseling is not still so popular. So there are individuals who are still skeptical about seeking help. They do not really come out and share their problems. So there is still stigma attached to mental health. So it could be difficult to get clients in initial stage. If you do not have experience, you might find it difficult to get clients and to get different people. And even in the field of forensic and criminal psychology, there is limited opportunities in our country. So mostly it's with the government sectors. So again, the competition will be tough. There will be number of people applying. So number of job opportunities are also limited. And because on a day-to-day basis you'll be interacting with different clients, the major criteria or major skill required for a counselor or for a psychologist is patience and listening. So you have to be prepared to listen to different people and listen to their different problems. You'll be talking to different people on a day-to-day basis. So once you listen to a lot of problems, it can be emotionally exhausting as well. If you mostly work in the clinical psychology sector, or if you are in the counseling psychology field, then it could be emotionally draining for you. And one more major drawback is, so in India, there are different rules and regulations. So from India, if you're someone who's looking to go out and work in a different country like US, UK, Canada, New Zealand, or any country, it will not be accepted. Your degree in India will not be accepted because the license procedure for different countries is completely different. They ask for either 150 to 200 hours of counseling or clinical experience, which is impossible at the beginning. And to get a license, you at least need a basic minimum degree from that country. So if you are a psychologist in India, it gets quite difficult to go and practice in a different country. And if in case you've studied in either US or UK, and if you've got a license or if you've got a degree there and you come back to India, it will still not hold a lot of value here, because you have paid lakhs together to study there, and when you come back here, you will not be so well paid according to what you're expecting. So license is again a problem if you're thinking of practicing in different countries. And with this, I come to the end of advantages and disadvantages. Apart from this, some of the tips for all of you, or some bonus tips that I would like to give you, is as much as possible, do a lot of internships and gain a lot of experience in your specific field. Only then you can expect better job opportunities, because in the field of psychology, all they look for is experience. So gain the skills that's required and do a lot of internships. That's major criteria. And even if you have finished your masters, in the initial days, right after your masters, getting a well-paying job is quite difficult in the initial stage. So be ready, or be prepared to accept basic salary or basic minimum that they're offering. That is the only way that you get